The sharp crack of an explosion reverberating through the canyon walls jolted John Parker from his saddle as midday sun blazed over his 200-acre Texas ranch. A deafening blast that sent a shower of rocks tumbling down the narrow pass, his rifle leaping to his hands as Dusty reared beneath him, the chestnut mare's hooves skittering on the rocky ground. Her ears pinned back at the thunderous echo that rolled through the air. He steadied her, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. The burn scar on his forearm throbbing with a dull ache as he squinted through the dust cloud rising from the canyon floor. The lake's silver surface a distant shimmer beyond the plains. Its faint gleam barely visible through the rocky walls, the faint shouts of rough voices and the clatter of falling stones cutting through the warm March air like a blade through flesh. After yesterday's stormy victory in the pasture, where John's sharpshooting had thwarted Victor Lang's attempt to burn the barn, had set out with the crew to patrol the ranch's edges, hoping to catch Lang before he could strike again. But now the air thrummed with danger, the canyon a trap he could feel in his bones, and head face it with the steel of his 54 years. He raised a hand, signaling the crew behind him. Frank on foot with his pistol drawn, his gray hair wild under his Stetson, eyes sharp as a hawk's. Mary Ellen on her gray mare, her braids swinging, shotgun gripped tight in her weathered hands. Ethan and Jake on horseback, rifles slung across their backs, their faces tense with anticipation. Tom with a machete, his broad frame steady as he scanned the cliffs. Sarah and Matt trailing at the rear, binoculars in hand, their voices hushed as they whispered coordinates. And John's voice came low, a gravelly whisper that carried the weight of command. "Hold. It's a setup." His eyes darting through the shadows, the wildflowers along the canyon walls sparse and clinging to life, their colors muted by the dust, his mind racing as he braced for the ambush he knew was coming. The echo of the explosion, a harbinger of death. The canyon was a narrow chute of red rock and jagged stone, the air thick with the scent of dust and sagebrush, the sun's rays glinting off the cliffs in harsh beams, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the uneven ground. The lake's edge a faint glimmer through the pass, its calm a deceptive contrast to the tension knotting John's gut. His every sense heightened as he urged Dusty forward at a slow walk, the mare's hooves crunching softly on the gravel, her muscles tensing beneath him as if she too felt the danger lurking in the shadows. He scanned the cliffs, his sharpshooter's eye catching every detail, the faint scuff of dirt where a boot had tread, the unnatural pile of rocks at the canyon's mouth, the glint of metal half hidden in a crevice, and his breath caught as he spotted it, a dynamite bundle wired to a detonator, its fuse already lit, the spark racing toward the explosive with a hiss that was drowned by the echo of the first blast, the faint crackle of a radio confirming his fears, the static hiss a whisper of death waiting to be unleashed. Before he could shout a warning, the canyon erupted into chaos. 7 mercenaries in camouflage gear bursting from the cliffs, their faces obscured by balaclavas, rifles and machetes glinting in the sunlight, their movements swift and coordinated, an 8th figure standing on a high ledge above the canyon, his silhouette sharp against the midday sun. Victor Lang, his silver hair unmistakable, a sniper rifle cradled in his hands as he barked orders, his voice a cold hiss carried by the wind. "Bury them now." Bullets sprayed, rocks splintering as the crew dove for cover, stones raining down like hail, and John's blood ran cold, suspicion hardening into fury. His finger tightening on the trigger as he chambered a round, the metallic click swallowed by the gunfire, his breath steady despite the chaos exploding around him, the canyon a killing ground. Lang's trap sprung with deadly precision. He spurred Dusty back, the mare rearing as bullets whizzed past, one grazing his Stetson, the hat tumbling into the dust with a soft thud. Another bullet splintering a rock inches from his head, the sharp crack of stone echoing as he leaned low in the saddle, Dusty's hooves pounding the ground as he fired, a steady shot. The crack splitting the air, the bullet tearing through a mercenary's rifle, the weapon jamming with a metallic screech as the man cursed, diving behind a boulder. His balaclava slipping to reveal wide, panicked eyes, his hands fumbling to clear the jam, sweat beading on his brow. "Scatter!" John roared, voice steel over the chaos. The crew splitting with practiced precision. Frank rolling into a shallow crevice, his pistol blazing, the sharp report of his shots dropping a mercenary's machete with a well-placed bullet to the hand. The man howling as he clutched his bloodied fingers, scrambling back into the shadows. Mary Ellen dismounting with a swift leap, her gray mare bolting to safety as she took cover behind a jagged rock. Her shotgun booming like thunder, the buckshot shredding a mercenary's sleeve, sending him scrambling back with a yelp, his weapon clattering into the gravel. His bravado shattered under the widow's aim. Ethan and Jake flanked left, their horses weaving through the narrow pass, rifles cracking as they returned fire, their shots steady. One bullet shattering a mercenary's pistol, the other grazing a shoulder, the men diving for cover as the brothers pressed their advantage, their faces set with determination, the bond of blood and grit holding them steady. Tom charged forward, his machete flashing, hacking through a rope tied to a rockfall trap, his broad frame a bulwark as he tackled a mercenary. Pinning his arm to the ground with a swift strike, the man groaning as the blade sank into the dirt, his weapon falling uselessly to the side. Sarah and Matt ducked low, binoculars scanning the ledge for Lang, their voices hushed but urgent as they relayed his position. The canyon a maze of rocks and shadows, the battle a symphony of gunfire and steel. A mercenary with a machete charged John, blade slashing through the air, the metal glinting in the sunlight as he aimed for Dusty's flank, but John leaned low in the saddle, the mare pivoting sharp. Her hooves kicking up gravel as he fired again, the bullet grazing the man's leg, sending him sprawling into the dust with a howl, the machete sinking into the ground. His balaclava soaked with sweat as he writhed, the fight draining from his eyes. Another mercenary opened fire from the right, bullets tearing through the air, rocks splintering in a shower of shards. The sharp crack of gunfire echoing as John urged Dusty forward, weaving through the narrow pass, his sharpshooters locking on the shooter, a stocky figure crouched behind a boulder. His rifle spitting lead. John fired, the shot ringing true, the bullet shattering the man's rifle, the weapon flying from his hands as he staggered back, clutching his wrist. His balaclava slipping to reveal a scarred cheek, his fight drained under the sun's harsh glare, the canyon shadows a graveyard for his bravado. "Lang!" John bellowed, swinging the rifle toward the ledge, where the lawyer scoped him, a glint of intent in the sunlight, and fired. A sniper shot cracking loud, the bullet grazing John's shoulder. A hot sting that drew a hiss, blood seeping through his denim as he gritted his teeth, staying in the saddle, the lake shimmering beyond the canyon, its calm a distant promise amidst the storm. The crew rallied, their movements a dance of survival honed by months of battle. Frank's pistol dropping another mercenary with a shot to the knee, the man collapsing with a scream. His weapon skittering into the dust, his hands clawing at the gravel as he tried to crawl away. Mary Ellen's shotgun blasting a warning that sent two more diving for cover. The buckshot tearing through a rock, the splintered stone raining down as the mercenaries scrambled, their confidence shattered by the widow's aim. Ethan and Jake picking off their weapons with steady shots, one bullet shattering a pistol, another grazing a shoulder, the men diving behind boulders as the brothers pressed forward. Their horses snorting, their faces set with a fierce determination that spoke of blood and loyalty. Tom tackled the last mercenary, his machete pinning the man's sleeve to a rock as he groaned. The blade sinking deep into the stone, his rifle falling uselessly to the ground, his balaclava soaked with sweat as he slumped, the fight drained from his body. John spurred Dusty up the ledge, rifle raised, closing on Lang, who fired again, the bullet splintering a rock as John ducked, his sharpshooters locked on the target, and fired a steady shot. The bullet tearing through Lang's scope, the rifle jerking from his hands as he staggered back, his suit torn, his smirk gone, fear flashing in his eyes as he turned to flee. Disappearing into the cliffs, his footsteps fading into the canyon's depths. The canyon fell silent, the mercenaries down, their trap broken, and John reined in, blood dripping from his shoulder. The lake glowing gold beyond the cliffs as the sun climbed higher, the wildflowers sparse but enduring, their petals trembling in the aftermath. "Got him," he growled, voice rough. The crew emerging from the shadows, faces fierce, their breaths heavy with the weight of survival, the air thick with the scent of cordite and dust. "Lang's gone. Won't stop till he's caged." Frank spat into the dirt, his pistol gleaming, his voice gravelly. "He's a snake, slithering away." "Well, get him." Mary Ellen slung her shotgun, her braids swinging, her voice steady. "Canyon's ours. Held it good, John." Ethan and Jake dismounted, their rifles slung, their eyes meeting John's with a nod of respect, the bond of family stronger than ever. While Tom hauled a mercenary to his feet, rope ready, Sarah and Matt scanning the ledge, binoculars glinting as they marked Lang's escape route. Headlights flared through the canyon. Hargrove's patrol car screeching in, lights cutting the day, deputies spilling out, their boots crunching on the gravel as they cuffed the mercenaries, their gear bagged. The dynamite disarmed with careful hands. "What's this?" Hargrove asked, stepping forward, his badge glinting in the sunlight, the breeze tugging at his hat as he surveyed the scene. The splintered rocks and bloodied gravel a testament to the battle. John spat dust, voice steady, blood drying on his sleeve, his Stetson retrieved from the dust, the brim smudged with dirt. "Lang's trap, Grayson's hit, canyon ambush. Dynamite, snipers, we broke it, but he's loose." Hargrove nodded, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the ledge where Lang had fled. A grim determination in his gaze. "They're booked. Assault, conspiracy, attempted murder. Lang's a ghost. Slippery bastard. Well, hunt him, John, but you stay sharp. He's got more coming." He signaled his deputies, who hauled the mercenaries into the patrol car, their groans muffled as the doors slammed shut, the vehicle lurching back through the canyon, its red taillights fading into the cliffs, the sun climbing higher, casting long shadows across the battleground. Dusk broke over the ranch, the sky a deep gold streaked with violet. The lake calm in the distance, its surface smooth as glass, reflecting the first stars as they emerged. The crew gathered in the house, coffee steaming in mugs. The air thick with the scent of roasted beans and the faint tang of gunpowder that clung to their clothes. Ethan slouched in a chair, his face steady, trust forged in the canyon's fire. The map spread wide across the table, the ledge marked in red ink, a testament to the day's battle, the lantern light casting long shadows over their weary faces. The lake glowing gold outside as the last rays of dusk faded, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, wildflowers battered but enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. "Echoes down," Frank said, leaning back, his pistol gleaming on his hip, his voice gravelly but sure. "But Lang's still breathing, he's a shadow we can't shake." Mary Ellen poured coffee, her hand firm, her voice edged with steel. "Canyon held. Your aim's a wall, John. Hell, think twice now." Jake grinned, his fists unclenching, sweat still beading on his brow. "We broke him, Ethan too. He's steel now." Sarah nodded from the corner, her phone glowing with Hargrove's last update, her voice resolute. "Sheriff's hunting. Lang's trail's hot. We'll find him." Matt tapped his laptop, fingers pausing as he met John's gaze, his tone sharp. "Mercenaries were pros. Lang's deep in Dallas cash. They'll trace it. Won't stop till we know." Tom stood by the door, lantern dimming, his broad frame a silent pillar, his voice low but firm. "I'll watch the ridge. Canyon's clear, but eyes ain't." John met Ethan's gaze across the table, the boy's eyes steady despite the weight of the day, his hands still trembling faintly from the fight, and John's voice cut through the room like steel tempered in fire. "You held today. fought like a Parker. That's good. Keep it up, Ethan. The canyon's just the start. We've got more coming up. Ethan swallowed hard, nodding slow, his voice quiet but raw. I will, Dad, swear it. No more running. The room fell silent. The lake glowing gold outside as the night deepened. The plains stretching wide and unbroken. Wildflowers battered but enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John rose, rifle close, stepping onto the porch where the air smelled of earth and renewal. His eyes scanning the ridge where the fight had raged, the memory of Lang's escape a bitter taste on his tongue. Across the horizon, a light blinked, binoculars catching the starlight, then vanishing into the trees, a shadow still breathing in the darkness. He chambered around, the click loud in the quiet, his jaw set hard, ready for the echo's next strike, knowing the fight for the ranch and his family was far from over.